Long before the modern world existed, before borders were clearly defined and nations were formed in their current structure, there was an ancient empire that stretched across an unimaginable distance. It connected deserts, mountains, rivers, and seas, bringing together people of completely different cultures, languages, and traditions under one centralized system of rule that seemed almost impossible for its time. This empire was not only vast in size, but also incredibly advanced for its time, with structured government systems, organized taxation, efficient communication routes, and powerful military forces that allowed it to maintain control over vast territories for centuries without collapsing immediately like many other ancient civilizations. However, even the most powerful empires in human history are never permanent. Internal corruption, political instability, economic pressure, and external enemies always begin to appear over time, slowly weakening the foundation of even the strongest civilizations until collapse becomes inevitable. This is the story of the Achaemenid Persian Empire, a civilization that began from a small tribal region and eventually expanded into one of the largest and most influential empires in the ancient world, only to later collapse in a dramatic and historical transformation that changed the course of world history forever. To understand how such a powerful empire could rise and fall, we must go back to its origins, where one leader with a vision began uniting fragmented lands and created the foundation of a superpower that would dominate 3 continents for centuries. That leader was Cyrus the Great, a man who rose from humble beginnings in a small Persian tribe, but possessed extraordinary intelligence, leadership skills, and strategic thinking that allowed him to challenge and eventually defeat much larger and more established kingdoms around him. During his time, the region was fragmented into multiple rival kingdoms constantly fighting each other over land, resources, and political dominance, creating a chaotic environment with no central authority or long-term stability across the region. Cyrus saw this chaos as an opportunity and began a series of military campaigns combined with diplomatic strategies, carefully uniting different tribes and kingdoms under a single empire rather than simply destroying them. Unlike many rulers of his time, Cyrus implemented policies of tolerance, allowing conquered peoples to maintain their religions, traditions, and local governance systems, which significantly reduced resistance and rebellions. This approach not only stabilized his growing empire, but also helped it expand rapidly, as newly conquered regions were more willing to accept Persian rule compared to the harsh domination seen in other ancient empires. As a result, Cyrus became not only a conqueror, but also a respected ruler, and his empire laid the foundation for one of the most powerful civilizations in ancient history. After Cyrus the Great established the foundation of the Persian Empire, the responsibility of expanding and organizing such a massive territory fell to future rulers. One of the most important of them was Darius the Great, who transformed Persia from a rapidly growing kingdom into a highly structured and efficient empire that could manage millions of people across 3 continents. Darius understood that military power alone was not enough to control such a vast empire. He introduced a complex administrative system, dividing the empire into provinces called satrapies, each governed by local leaders who were responsible for taxation, security, and order under the central authority. This system allowed Persia to maintain control over distant territories without constant military intervention. It created stability and ensured that even faraway regions felt connected to the central government, which significantly reduced rebellion and internal conflict. One of Darius's greatest achievements was the construction of the Royal Road, a vast network of roads that connected the entire empire and allowed messages, goods, and military forces to move at unprecedented speed for that era. Through this infrastructure, communication that once took months could now be completed in days. This efficiency made the Persian Empire one of the most advanced administrative systems in the ancient world. During this golden age, trade flourished across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Merchants traveled safely under Persian protection, and cities grew richer as commerce expanded across vast, interconnected routes. Persia became not just a political empire, but also an economic and cultural powerhouse, influencing art, architecture, and governance systems that would later inspire future civilizations. However, with great expansion came new challenges. As the empire grew larger, controlling distant regions became increasingly difficult, and maintaining loyalty across such a vast territory required constant attention. Despite its strength, the empire began to show early signs of vulnerability, as internal bureaucracy became more complex and communication gaps slowly appeared between the central government and distant provinces. Still, during this period, Persia stood as one of the most powerful and respected civilizations in the ancient world, feared by enemies and admired for its organization and stability. But history was already preparing the next chapter, one that would bring war, resistance, and eventually the beginning of the empire's decline. As the Persian Empire continued to grow in power and influence, it eventually turned its attention toward the west, where a group of independent city-states known as Greece stood divided but culturally strong. Persia saw Greece not as a unified nation, but as an opportunity for expansion and dominance over a new region. At that time, Greece was not a single empire, but a collection of independent city-states such as Athens and Sparta, which often competed with each other.
The enemy is closing
this division
in. We must
made
shore
it
up the
seem
eastern
vulnerable,
flank.
and
But
Persia
General, our
believed it
reserves
could
are spent.
easily
We
be
need
conquered through a
reinforcements.
massive military invasion.
Fight with what
King
we
Xerxes
have.
I,
No retreat.
one of the most powerful rulers of Persia, decided to launch one of the largest military invasions in ancient history, gathering an enormous army that stretched across continents and seemed almost endless in size. This army crossed rivers, mountains, and seas, marching toward Greece with confidence and overwhelming.